What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Childish. We are back at it again with the next episode of Educate and Dominate, that one-on-one interview series where we take some of the top names in the game and get their insights so we can bring your game to the next level. My next guest is one that I've been trying to get for at least a month now. One of the moderators on the Reddit forums, TeraFlux. What's going on, my man?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I'm good, man. We're doing this big. I don't know what time it is for you right now, but it's 12:10 in the morning. Whatever it takes. Hashtag whatever it takes. Let's keep it trending. So for those that don't know you, Tara, why don't you go ahead and kind of explain to everybody, how what you kind of do for the community and what's kind of going on in the Reddit world.
Yeah, so I'm a Reddit mod. I started the game probably a month after launch last year, and I was just as active on the forum as Reddit as I possibly could be. And Hellfeather, I believe, was the mod that invited me. I just did my best to help everyone out, all the different ask questions. Uh, sort of the just
So
being as helpful as possible. And then I have a lot of Reddit history. I've been on Reddit for a long time, so they invited me, and uh, I've done some streaming and some videos on YouTube. Mostly just quick movies and videos that I'll upload to YouTube without any editing, just to help people out, especially with TOA and Guild War defenses and stuff like that. Um, yeah, as far as Reddit goes, I just try to help clean up all the nonsense that happens there and keep things clean and working properly.
gotcha. And in addition to kind of keeping it clean, one of the things that you're really known for is being, a theory crafter. I'm kind of curious, what kind of inspired you to, test out everything and want to kind of get in depth as far as this game goes.
I think with every game that I play, you start off with the bell. You start off with just the regular curve where you get really good really fast, and then everything sort of evens out, and you barely incrementally increase in skill. And the way that you do that with every game, I mean, everything I've played, Counter Strike, I don't know, Pokemon, everything, is you end up really having to study the game and figure out how everything works, all the mechanics, all the buffs, all the debuffs, all the hidden skills of everything. And just once you really understand it and really make things work well together and synergize, um, then you can really just take your game to the next level and advance. And with this game in particular, that's part of it. The other part is just mind-numbing farming, constantly, never-ending. And I can't say that's not required, because it absolutely is.
Gotcha. And another side question that I just thought about now, you made a comment about the stats of the units, making sure you're getting everything you need to get the damage done. When I take a look at one of the units that you have, Camilla, widely known as one of the best units out there for the arena, or just all around. I mean, you can use this for a lot of stuff, but you see it more so in the arena. When I look at the unit, an extremely obviously high amount of crit rate and crit damage. But when you compare it to some of the other people around your rank, for those that don't know, he runs that Guardian 2, Guardian 3 ranks. You'll see some people maybe with a little bit less crit damage, a little less crit rate, but they have a little bit more attack power. And you kind of have the opposite where maybe the attack's a little bit lower, but you have the high crit rate and have the high crit damage. So my question to you is, sir, when you're trying to set up these attack units, what should people value more? Should they be trying to get most crit damage as possible, or a certain combination, a certain amount of crit rate to go with that crit damage, or should they be trying to focus on all three and just try to get everything they can on it?
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all answer. If you can get 100% crit rate, I absolutely would recommend that. Uh, Personally, because I like consistency, and I like to be able to know exactly how much damage is going to get done by a unit every single turn. Especially when, if you have 99% crit, it seems like you have 50% crit, because when you need that crit, it will never
Yeah.
happen. So, and the other thing that really matters is the more crit you have, the more the it scales better versus the opposite element. So my Camilla's attacking a wind. There's an inherent reduction in crit rate
Sure.
there. But the more crit rate you have, the more you just have more of a dice roll that you'll actually get that crit if you don't have a glancing. Um, so it's always do the best you can, throw the best runes you can on that are available to you. I tend to have a lot of just high end, lots of giants and dragon runes. Especially if you can see my inventory, it's just almost exploding full. Um, for him specifically, though, crit rate and crit damage are key. And just, again, it's consistency for me. I try to get 100% crit rate whenever I can. My Hua doesn't have 100%. Actually, my Sig I don't think is fully ruined right now, but if I could get him to 100%, I'd be happy. Yeah, it's not. You definitely don't need 100% though. Absolutely not. My Hua is more than enough for the damage that she does.
Gotcha. And that's actually what I wanted to point out too. You see this a lot. People go back and forth about the utilization of a primary rune slot, 246, as far as, trying to take advantage of, crit damage or whatnot. We understand today with our current meta, some of the strongest units out there are going to be rocking, attack or damage attack. But on certain particular units, you find value, as you can see here with the 4-slot rune. That crit rate, is the way to go. And like you said, you like consistency or whatnot. Can you give an example to your followers here why, or maybe certain units that might, benefit from going crit rate? Besides the obvious like vertical, whatnot. Is there any particular reason why you would want to sacrifice an attack power, or the crit damage slot on there for the crit rate?
Um, in this case, it is consistency. It's I want to have a certain. I use her for dragons specifically, and on the towers, what I use her for, her main purpose is destroying the towers, and she crits for pretty much the exact amount of the tower's health. So if I had attack power but less crit, she wouldn't necessarily kill the towers every single time. So definitely, if I wanted to build her to be more damage dealing, I would just go with the standard attack, crit damage attack. But with her, I have a very particular purpose, and it's taking out the towers in one hit. So it's speed, crit rate, and attack, and she does just enough damage to do what I need.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have the fire if it ruined. It's just kind of trash runes on him.
Okay.
I haven't used him since I, the. Actually, I haven't even used him since people say he was fixed, but. Um, Yeah, he's just. I was excited when I pulled him, but he has not really done a lot for me.
Yeah, it's just one of those units where it's kind of a give and take, especially with your lineup here. You got quite a few units here. I don't know if it was gonna benefit all too much, but hopefully they give you guys a change in the future. Lord knows
Yeah,
they. I was gonna say, Lord knows they probably didn't really need to buff the MRs, but they did. So maybe they'll do the same to other units. So
yeah. I actually just pulled a Theomars, fortunately, so I'm
hey,
gonna definitely invest in him.
well, we are Theo Mars brothers. I just pulled one today myself too. So congrats to you.
Nice, nicely done. Yeah, so I don't know, especially with the Nat 5 because you just gotta throw all the Devilmons into him too, and I just haven't put any and don't plan on investing them. Yeah, so my Lushen are just I'd ideally have them at about 85% crit. Actually, 75% crit should be enough because the crit buff is about 23%. I use him with Aquila usually, so
Cool.
uh,
Good
and
deal.
those are enough to wipe out. I mean, I actually have stopped using my double Lushen defense for the most part because it's just kind of started boring me. And I've been using all sorts of different units, Loss, Shumar. Uh, Actually, a lot of the time I'll just try to use my arena defense team to attack someone and just push auto and see how well it does. And that's definitely the best way to figure out how strong you are and how strong your defense is, how well it synergizes together, how well the AI is. just press auto and attack people, and who cares if you lose?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny that you're getting into that. As I said before, guys, at the very beginning of the video, he's one of the top people we think of on the Reddit forums when it comes to theory crafting, testing units, and seeing how it works and how it synergizes. One of the questions that gets asked a lot is can you truly make a speed offense effective? And I kind of wanted to go on a topic here. One thing that's unique to him versus others is that not only does he think about utilizing a speed AO team that you'll see most people run whatever Bernard's devolutions whatnot, but he does something that most people don't do, which is run a speedy AO with an actual, speed-based damage unit. So can you kind of talk about your particular speed AO setup and how you go about that?
Yeah, I put that together probably about a month ago. I built a Shumar, and actually I'm debating whether I'm going to try to build Theomars the same way. I've been told that he doesn't scale anywhere near as well with his speed, uh, damage by speed scales with speed first ability. Shumar has a much stronger speed scaling attack, um, but the major point is just you can make something really fast like a Shumar or a Water Samurai or a Water Chimera. You can actually build them really fast and then not have to sacrifice a lot of damage because they scale with speed. So I actually took a little bit of speed off of him because I wanted to move some runes around. I had him a little faster, a little more crit damage, but he actually does just enough damage right now. So I don't need much more on him. He'll one shot almost everything.
Gotcha.
Uh, so I usually run him with either Tyran, Water Pirate, and if you know, he has 100% crit, so he doesn't even need a Seek bonus, crit bonus. He just attack buff and a defense break, and he'll do anywhere between 45 to 55k from that first ability. And it's such a great comp because you put a Tyran, the Water Pirate, a Bernard, and now he's got an attack buff, he's got a speed buff, uh, and a defense break, and all my units do. So my Tyrant's going to hit really hard with his Hailstorm. Uh, my Seek's going to one shot someone, and they're all going to get frozen most likely, and it'll probably beat 97%, 98% of the ADs out there. The heavy wind ADs with Ritesh. Oh man, there's a couple of them that every single time I usually just go down the list and attack, same AD or with my speed def, and then sometimes one person will just keep beating it over and over again, and then since I'm only absent-mindedly playing, I'll just actually have to pay attention. Um, who was the person that kept doing it? It was one of your interviewed people. Oh man, Foros and
409.
I.
Yeah,
Yeah,
409. It's funny because I
it,
just made a man crush money on him, so it's funny. Yeah.
yeah. He's got a really tough defense. It's very deceptive. It's like a Ritesh, Eladriel, Veramos, Bella, I believe.
I think he gets Kumar, but pretty darn
Oh,
close.
Kumar. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that my speed team can't beat it because uh, yeah, if I kill a Eladriel, then the Kumar or the Veramos are going to Violent Proc and then stun my whole team, and then Shumar dies from someone, and it has like a 50% success rate, and so I have to always change it when I see his defense, for example, or someone with a really fast team like Barian. It doesn't usually work unless I swap out Tyron for Vanessa.
Yeah.
That's my Priz.
Yeah, I
He was
haven't
a
seen Priz in a very long time. It's funny.
I don't have him ruined at all. But he was a fun experiment. He used to be my Dragons clearer, my dot dealer. He has a really fun just kit on him too. The only problem is his stats suck, but he has
So,
a dot deal and he has a max skill based, max HP based attack. So
Cool.
ideally, theoretically, he would work great for dragons. It's just he's so squishy, it just doesn't. So,
Right.
or I just had better options at this point. So,
Yes, I think you do have better options for sure. Kind of looking at your next unit here, kind of brings up a topic that I think we kind of discussed here prior to. A lot of people out there are setting up, teams based on certain things, and I think it's kind of one of the up and coming new things that people have been doing, have been utilizing. Units with a flat, hit point healing scale combined with a defense stack and attacker. So, can you talk a little bit about that? Why that is pretty strong, and maybe some of the comps that you like to use?
yeah, that's actually really really fun. So I love this game because you can keep coming up with new theories, new fun ways to specifically for offense. Because you put a monster like this on defense, he's probably not going to do very well. But for offense, you can come up with all sorts of new ways to make fun teams. So one of them is that you could put defense-based monsters with flat HP healing monsters such as Amen or Water Mammoth, and specifically Water Mammoth is great because he's got a defense buff and he has a flat heal based on his max HP. So if you paired him with, say, two defense damage dealers who have a low base HP pool, but they're still very tanky because it's even though they have low HP, it's really hard to get through that HP. So pretty much the Water Mammoth's going to full heal them every time he pops his second ability, and they're going to get an attack buff too out of it because it's technically their defense. So yeah, that's just a fun comp. So you can actually get away with putting someone that's ruined to destroy your face and have lots of damage. You'd be a real bruiser, and he's actually tanky because they're defense monsters and they can get just fully healed. And I mean, all of those are pretty much farmable monsters. You can get uh, the water lizard man, water mammoth, copper, wind. Yeah, so
Cool. And yeah, it's funny that we were talking. I was talking to Dynamo, one of my previous guests here, the last recently, and we were talking about different guild war comps and some of the common units they got, and we talked a lot about the kind of like a light trio with Grago, Amon, and then of course a third light unit in there, and the combination of a violent Amon with like a Grago that's spec with defense, crit damage, defense can do some can work really well, can synergize really well if you got the runes to back him up. So, um, as far as the particular team that you talked about, is there any other experimentation that you've done with particular units in that setup, or is that pretty much all of them?
so other than speed teams where you combine speed attackers with a speed lead and a speed boost buffer, and then they are at the same time damage dealers. Um, I think there's a couple others I like to use. I can't think of what they are. Um, but it's just a matter of trying out new stuff all the time. I mean, that's what keeps the game interesting. Uh, that's how I keep playing. Is I keep coming up with a new unit that I want to test out, and maybe it eventually falls off the end game. It doesn't even really do much, and it's not really useful. But uh, just trying to make it work keeps it fun to me. Um,
Cool.
so, and then the main thing I'd want to say is for 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 defenses, for Guild War defenses, for arena defenses, it actually works in your favor to not use the current meta, to use something that no one's seen before, and use a monster that in a way that just doesn't normally get used. Because if the more surprising you are, uh, the more chances you're going to get defense wins, and people are just not going to know what to do with your defense. So that's why coming up with new ways to use unusual monsters does benefit you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's actually pretty. There's nothing more exciting to me than to getting into a fight with the intention of obviously winning. Right, when we're looking at Guild Wars fights, we don't go in there to lose. We're going in there because we feel that we have the strength to win, and we get manhandled by this crazy ass team, and you're like, it's so off. I was telling um, a couple of the people that I intentionally, when if I'm like midweek and I'm just having fun right with the Guild Wars, I got my staple teams, but I like to put in like a YOLO type of team sometimes in the first group in the first round.
Hmm.
That they just don't expect, so that if it does kind of throw them off their game, then they're more likely to make a mistake because they're all flustered, from getting, beat with some other team. And it's weird because obviously I shouldn't be risking something like that when with us trying to gain rank, but it's if the team works, why not, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And obviously you get a little bit more serious when that last power hour comes around. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's actually a funny idea to put some yellow team in the first battle so that they're all flustered by the next one, and you totally get flustered if
Yep.
things just do not go your way and you get 10 violent procs on their favor. That's the point where you want to throw out your phone, but you still have another battle to go through. So
Yep. And then the last topic that I wanted to hit, or that I have on here is, talking about specific types of healing comps. So we got a couple of them out there, but you definitely like the strength of an HP based team, and HP based healing comp. So can you talk a little bit about that, and then the recommendations that you would have for people to kind of try that out?
yeah, so I've cleared TOA hard the last 4 or 5 resets, and the main key for me is using HP based monsters. Um, and I do that because I have an Ariel who does everything he has is HP based heals. So the more HP I can stack on my Brian and my Beretta and uh, whatever other monsters I'm going to use, I do switch them out a little bit uh, depending on the floor. But my Verde, actually, I I say that now, but I put one defense rune on or defense slot on him, defense HP speed. Uh, Ideally, I'd have them all HP so that heal is maximized its effect. Now, if I had a Chizoon and I wanted my Chizoon to carry me through TOA, I probably wouldn't stack HP on everything. I'd probably go HP defense uh, because that defense is going to be much more effective. It's going to allow for that pool of HP you have to get drained slower, and the flat HP heal from Chizoon to actually be worth more. So it's really about using the units you have. Uh, yeah, if you can see, my Beretta is actually ruined HP, which is not common, I don't think, at all. I mean, it's a
No,
very non-threatening build, but
non-threatening, but it makes perfect sense when you're talking about utilizing, like I said, a HP based, comp or whatever. It makes it doesn't make sense to the people that don't know it, but after what you say, it makes perfect sense. So, and I hope you don't mind. Again, like I said before, is when I hear you talk, I kind of think about other things that ask you because you. Bring up very, very valid points. Can you talk about, we got a couple of units that are, they're based off, maybe they're defensive units and we stack HP or whatnot, and there's a couple of units, or there's a couple of, obviously there's many, many reasons, like you state, to go defense, but some people are just so against defense. Can you kind of talk about the importance of defense, um, at your level, and why it can be so valuable to, not, take a secondary, kind of mild, mediocre HP rune versus having a nice, 6-star defense rune with, good stats?
absolutely, defense is another example of where. Okay, so my Chloe, for example, I've actually got a defense rune on her,
Oh, there we go. That's
and
what I'm talking about.
I'm totally happy with it. It's got a great speed substat, but it actually works out for me pretty well because for my Guild War, one of my Guild War teams, I'm running Wind Monkey King, Chloe, Camilla, and the most common counter or most common enemy to that team is going to be a Perna. Now, anything that does max HP based attacks, enemy max HP, it's not going to do as much damage on her because she just doesn't have that much HP. She's really, really fast though, and her second ability does scale with HP, and so does her first. But it actually does still work out pretty well. ideally, I'd probably want to put a little bit less defense, maybe from substats from other slots. The primary stat on 6 and 4 should probably be HP for Chloe. In an ideal world, but
Sure.
with again, if you're trying to make a unit unpredictable with Chloe, you just want to or to stand out and then do really really well. You just want to stack as much speed as you possibly can. And so that's what I've done here is just get as much speed as you can, and that's what makes her effective. That's her main purpose is just throw as many shields up as she can, and it's not really about healing herself. It's just trying to keep up her other YOLO damage dealers. So
Cool.
uh, defense is underrated, I think, as a general rule of thumb in the high level arena. It, everything is you can just assume that on your defense everything is going to have a defense break on it, and since defense break is while it does reduce the effectiveness of a defense stat, it's based on your maximum defense, and so the more defense you have, the more you'll still have after it gets reduced in half, uh, and that'll still be able to take a 20k hit, probably down 20% or so, 30%, than if you didn't have that. Um, Comes down to your teams, of course. Of course, if you have an Ariel or HP based healer like Chloe, you probably still want more HP to just maximize that effect. But if you're just trying to build a tanky monster, the math has been done on Reddit. There's a couple threads about it, but your effective HP, there's diminishing returns from too much defense, but there's also diminishing returns, not as much, but there are some diminishing returns from too much HP. And if you just think about it, I mean, if something has a 55k HP pool, there's plenty of monsters that will be able to kill that in 2 turns instead of maybe 3 or 4. Well, what am I saying? Effectively, the purpose of that monster has diminishing returns the more you're stacking a single stat. You want to diversify your stats as much as possible. I mean, the first way I ruined my Brian, for example, was just as much HP as I possibly could, and that has diminishing returns because all that it takes to kill something with a lot of HP is just a squishy glass cannon, and it's neutralized. But if you throw a little accuracy on him, throw a little crit rate on him, now he's like kind of a jack of all trades. He actually will dish out some damage. He'll actually heal block. He'll actually do a whole bunch of different things. So, and he's still pretty tanky. I mean, he loses 10% of tankiness and he gains all sorts of other utility. So,
Yep. And with a unit like that with so much base AP, you can afford to kind of play around with some of those things. Definitely, definitely.
yeah, and there are some definite exceptions to the rule, such as Arnold, where pretty much, and Ramagos, where pretty much the only stats you want are HP stacked as much as you can. And I think mine isn't super great anymore. I've been stealing his runes off too because I just have been using him less and less.
Arnold's one of those units now. When you get to your level, it's probably not.
Ramagos too. I never use him anymore. I'm gonna use. It's just I can't risk it, because you never know if someone's gonna get 3 violent procs in a row and kill your Ramagos, and unless you have some sneaky monster that can revive him, like a Dark Undine that can revive him with a full attack bar and pull some sneaky stuff. He's too RNG.
Yep, I completely agree with you, sir. My next question for you is, what would you consider is the most underrated and overlooked, rune set or subset, and why?
I think underrated is Fatal. Everyone talks about Rage. Rage is the go-to set for damage dealers that don't need violent procs. A damage dealer that, for example, has a 3rd skill ability with a 5-turn cooldown. You need that one ability to go off and do as much damage as possible while you want a Rage set, right? Well, actually, Fatal works just as well. And speaking about runes, you don't even need a 4 set on, say, a Lushan or those type of damage dealers. If you have the substats, the crit rate, the crit damage, the attack, you can use a broken set and it'll work just as well, exactly the same as if you have a rage. I mean, assuming you can make up for the fact that you lost that set bonus, which usually you can because by the time you're putting that third or fourth rage blue rune on there, you're neglecting some other runes that might be better that you've picked up along the way and other stats. And
Very
you
true.
know, you have an amazing fatal rune, you have an amazing will rune. You are allowed to use those together. You're actually allowed to use all of your amazing runes on one monster, and it'll actually still work. So, like, there's no hard rules about what runes you have to use for what monster. Uh, in an ideal world, you will want a rune set. Like, yes, if you have the stats already from the runes, if you have god runes for violent, you have the best. You have 100% crit rate, 100% accuracy. You have as much crit damage as you could possibly want. Then yeah. So then you'd want to use other runes. Ideally, the end game runes would be revenge and nemesis. Runes that don't provide you will runes that don't provide you any actual stat bonuses, but they have other utility, actual battle utility. Those would be the end game runes I'd have on everything. I'd put nemesis and revenge on everything if I could, uh, just because. Yeah, well, but then I'd have to have god mode runes for everything, and I'd have to have all the substats I'd want. And getting there is pretty much impossible. But
Yeah. Yeah, buddy. It's kind of funny that you say that too, because right now, with Theomars, we just talked about both of us getting, I, as we've been farming dragons, we tend, since Vietnam, right? We've collected ourselves a nice fair share of random runes, and for me, I've been fortunate enough to get about a good decent like 4 to 6 vampire runes and revenge runes that don't fit on any of my other monsters, and I was able to slap on a vampire revenge set that gave me some really really good overall stats. And while it's not considered optimal for a unit that could be utilized in the arena, um, it's like for me right now with not having any other runes to mix and match with, it's getting the job done. It's hitting hard, and it's kind of fun playing around with it in Go War. So
yeah, violent isn't a requirement. And honestly, for offense, I probably don't even prefer violent. When I have my speed team, I don't have any of them on violent. My Tyrant, my Bernard, Shumar, it's all rage. It's all speed units. The violent is shines on defense when it can be unpredictable. On offense, you just want to be as predictable and controlling the map as possible.
yep,
Uh, so
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Let's see here. If I don't know if you recently heard, as of this video will come out Thursday, but as of today, um, Comdos has officially announced that they've created a video thread on a video subforum on their website, on their official forums, so that us YouTubers and streamers can go on there and provide information. And I've talked to the administrator a while back. He does watch some of the videos, and so I want to kind of give you the opportunity to. If there was, 1 or 2 things that you would change about the game, what would they be and why? So that if the people are watching, we can go ahead and kind of get that message out there to
oh wow, there's a long list.
them. All right,
I
what's the
love this
top
game.
thing?
I'll say I love the game. There's getting into the actual. Okay, I'll just do the low hanging fruit that I feel are pretty much low hanging fruit.
All right.
A battle log. I would love to be able to, at the very least, see which units attacked my team, what they were. I'd like to know because you never know. You have no idea what comp is consistently beating you. If
Mm-hmm.
it's a fire ifrit that's constantly beating your team, if it's a Ramagos, like who knows? Just be able to view an attack and see, if not the stretch goal of every single action that happened, and maybe some sort of a playback option to view the battle yourself. Uh, if not that, then at least a summary of what creatures attacked you, just the pictures of who attacked you with what,
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah. I think of
Um,
I think of Clash of Clans when you say that because I used to play that game and we would, I'd be watching the battle logs all the time. People fighting me. So
Yeah, it's totally doable, especially with the way they've designed this game. It's completely doable,
Mm.
uh, and could all be done offline too. They could just send the data in a log to the server and send it back. Then you could just view it, and it would rule out a lot of the suspicions of hackers and people that are, yeah, doing shady things. So, uh, uh, other suggestions I'd have. Yeah, I mean, I know the main purpose of the game is to make money, and it has to be so pay to win. But all those the packs, no one wants them. No one wants any of those packs. They're all bad, except for maybe the Devilmon one. No one's like, is anyone really buying the Angelmon packs? Like, really,
that
King Angelmons?
that is the biggest epic fail right there. The King Angelmons. If anybody's really buying those, God, I mean, you must be rich because I don't know why you would buy that stuff. Oh man. Oh man, it's so bad. Speaking of which, so speaking of epic fails, this one we might have to take a 5 minute segment so you can think about it. You've tested a lot of things. You have, you know, theorycraft so much. What is your? Because I don't know if you know my guild. My guild is called Epic Fail. So we embrace the failure, and we're all about the failures, trying different things, doing this things, and whatnot. What is your biggest epic fail in the game? What's the biggest one you've had?
Uh, Honestly, I haven't had too many. Fortunately, uh, there's just been some stupid like slap your forehead mistakes I've made, such as I didn't know that you couldn't power up a rune until in your inventory. Maybe I didn't read it properly. I just assumed you had to attach it to a monster. You had to bind it first, and then you could power it up. And then you have to remove it if you wanted to move it over.
Oh man.
So now, obviously, as you should, every rune you get from dragons, you power up first to before you sell it. You power it up to see which rolls you get where, and then you sell it because it turns out to all be resistance.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
uh, that and I think I foddered Chloe one time, and I know I accidentally overrode a violent uh, 6-star attack with just such a nice rune that I overrode it before they had the "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
dialogue
Yep.
box.
Yep.
Uh, I don't know. Fortunately, I haven't done anything crazy stupid like unsummoned a Nat 5 or
You saw that video on Reddit, didn't you?
I did.
Oh
I felt
man, dude,
so
I
bad.
felt so bad for that cat. Oh
Oh
man.
man, I just moment of silence for our
Yes,
fallen
moment
heroes.
moment of silence. Oh, dude, that's the worst. But hopefully he got things figured out. I don't know what Comptus is gonna do, but we'll see. But so yeah, we're pretty much right at the end of the video here. Do you want to give any shout outs to your fans and followers over there on Reddit?
I don't know if I have any followers. Well, sometimes I guess I do when I stream occasionally, which hasn't been in like a month though because I've been lazy. Um, I have to say, so I recently switched to malicious from Shadowvar, but everyone in Shadowvar is awesome. They're all just the greatest people ever. Love hanging out with them. Love talking with them. They constantly entertain me over line. And but one of the reasons I switched over was just because I wanted to get into Malicious's crazy war schedule where they do an obscene amount of wars on Saturday night, and obviously no one in Shadowvar wanted to do that. And I'm kind of a freak, and I like to win at all costs. So
Mm,
I switched over to malicious, but that has absolutely nothing to do with the Shadowvar community, and I love those guys over there too. A lot of great people in malicious too. I'm still figuring everyone out here. It's only been maybe 2 weeks, so
cool. And
yeah.
as far as the last part of our video, we have a kind of a call out segment. So, you've been in the community for quite some time. Could you think of anybody, with your level of knowledge and expertise that you would want to recommend to the video and why?
My favorite redditor was Absolute. I'm not sure if he's still on the forums anymore. I haven't even really seen him in a while, but he did some of the best analysis of experience gains for HOH. Actually, I don't know if he did all those, but he's just done some of the best thorough analysis of monsters and comparisons and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen the Guild War calculator that I created a while ago. It lets you figure out what percentage is remaining on your team. But I had a lot of help from the community in coming up with features for that, and well, I guess everyone sort of contributed in the thread that I posted
Yeah.
to help design that. And in fact, that reminds me, I should definitely update it now that they've changed the number of defenses you can have.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I think about 2 weeks ago, I actually made a Man Crush Monday promoting the Reddit community, and I talked about a couple of the things in your guys' sticky that has everything listed out. So we did see the Guild War calculator there. It's pretty darn cool. Yeah. So
yeah, that was just a little side project I made just one day. Um, I'd hope to make more things if anyone has more suggestions. I do a little web development in my free time, so
cool. And of course, I'll kind of remind you after the video. But for those of you guys watching the video, if any of you guys have a question for TeraFlux, please put it in the comment section down below. I'll make sure that myself as well as TeraFlux will come on over and try to answer any other questions that you might think of that might benefit you in the future. So I guess I'll go ahead and have to finish out the video. I want to thank you again, TeraFlux, for taking the opportunity to do this. It's been a long time coming, but I'm super excited that we were able to get it done, and I appreciate everything you've done for the community.
yeah, thanks, Childish.
Good deal. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a pleasure to make these videos for you as always. It's your boy Childish and TeraFlux with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care. We will see you next time, guys. We're out.